Oh, okay. Welcome everybody to the June News Charter School Board of Directors meeting. I will officially call the meeting to order at 6 p.m. And Rodney, can you put the agenda back up? Rodney? Okay. I will remind everyone about our ethics statements for North Carolina government, conflict of interest per NCGS 138A-15E. Board members are reminded that it's our duty to avoid conflicts of interest and the appearance of conflicts of interest as we handle the work of the board. Does any member of the board know of any conflict of interest or any appearance of conflict with respect to any matters coming before us at this meeting? If so, please state them for the record. If during the course of the meeting you become aware of an actual or apparent conflict of interest, please bring the matter to the attention of the chair. It will then be your duty to abstain from participating in discussion on the matter and from voting on the matter. Okay, so if you had a moment to review the agenda that was sent out, we can entertain a motion to accept tonight's agenda.
Make a motion we accept tonight's agenda. Robbie Taylor.
Second, Paul Worley.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, I think Rodney is still off, but that's the majority. Okay, motion passed. All right, let's move on to public comment. I don't know if anyone has any comments from our NCS community that they need to share. Not, then per usual, Rodney kind of monitors the Q&A and chat session. Any comments? Okay, let's approve our minutes from our May board meeting, and those were all also sent out. I entertain a motion to approve the May board minutes, unless there's.
So moved that we approve the May board minutes. Robbie Taylor.
I second, Jane Jackson.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Al?
Aye.
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Robbie said aye. Paul?
Aye.
Jane?
Aye.
Okay. And Rodney, I think his phone shows that he's off. All right, motion passed. Do we have any report or information regarding the athletic booster club? Okay, being none, we'll move to Student Government Association report. All right. And now we'll just go into our superintendent's report. Probably want to change that on the agenda. Superintendent's report. And I think the academy leaders are joining us to give reports as well.
They are. Good evening, everybody. Before I get into the agenda that I shared, I just want to let everybody know that we received information just yesterday that our school has been awarded $78,716 through the CARES Act grant. That's through the United States Department of Education. Those funds will go to help support our COVID endeavors in terms of anything from PPE sanitation, training, remote instruction support, etc. So we are beyond excited to see that number and get that information. And then additionally, we received $28,309 through the Coronavirus Relief Fund. That money will be put towards student devices, staff devices, and connectivity. So I love good news. So that's some good news.
Dr. Edwards, what was that amount again? I didn't hear the last number.
It was $28,309.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so jumping in, the budget planning is complete. I know that that's going to be discussed later, but I just want to recognize that was a task that we were able to accomplish. Moving on, prom and graduation were a huge success. I think the Senior Academy team did a tremendous job of providing the students with somewhat of a traditional experience, even within the confines of COVID-19 parameters. I'm going to now turn it over to the Academy leader. I think Dr. Schwartzlander was able to log in. I don't know if Ms. Nowinski was able to get in or not.
I don't believe Ms. Nowinski is here yet.
Okay.
So hopefully she'll be able to join as soon as possible. We wanted to share with you, and I believe that you have a link to a presentation that reviews our end of the year progress towards the action plans that we created in October. In October, when Ms. Nowinski joined the News Charter School community, one of the things that she brought with her was a focused pathway to improving instruction and student outcomes. As an Academy leader team, we developed plans of action that were the driving force behind everything that we did during the school year. The school improvement plan also adopted these plans of action as our school improvement plan this year. What we focused on, and the reason that we made the action plans, is so we could have and establish consistent expectations of teaching and learning across the campus. We could attach expectation metrics to what we're looking for and have outline of accountable steps to attain those goals. We focused on 3 key actions this year. One being effective instruction, the second being a high performance culture, and the 3 developing an effective master schedule and evaluating Cougar time. Before we get into this, I would like to say that number 3 went very well with the staff, and we have a schedule that a lot of people are really happy with. And so whenever we're able to actually come back to school in, whatever way possible, we are ready to go with a schedule that allows our teachers to have collaborative planning time and collaborative planning time for the electives and enhancements as well. Looking at just quickly, I won't go over everything here. You can look at it as you have time. But key indicator 1 was effective instruction. Ms. Nowinski and I measured effective instruction using the Elliott tool. The Elliott is the Effective Learning Environments Observation tool, and it's aligned with our accreditation report, which comes due in 2022, I believe. We were looking to increase the student engagement strategies that our teachers used in making sure that our instruction was aligned to objectives and it was purposeful each day. You can see our targets. We wanted to have 90% of our teachers be at a proficient or a score of 3. In March, that was at a 2.6. We were on track to meet that goal. And in March for learning objectives, we were at a 2.4. And we recognized that there were some areas that we still would like to focus our attention on. This specifically being differentiation of instruction and how students engage with materials. Our key action 2 was a high performance culture. And because of the closure due to COVID-19, Many of these areas weren't able to be assessed as fully as we would like them to have been. However, in December, we pulled from the teacher working conditions survey, that's a statewide survey, some of the areas of weakness, areas for growth for News Charter School, and we gave that survey to our staff. We pulled out 12 questions. So as we measured those 12 questions, when the 2021 survey data came out just a couple of weeks ago, we met or exceeded 9 of the 12 areas that we had focused on, but we did show an increase in all 12 areas. Our overall school is a good place to work. That's the big meaty question at the end of the survey. In December, it was a 67.5% for our staff, and in March, when they took the state survey, that score increased to an 81%. You can see managing student conduct, the next bullet, school administrators supporting teachers' efforts to maintain discipline in the classrooms increased from 57.5% in December to 81% in March. We showed marked increases in areas that we were specific and we were focused on. And the staff and the community were very responsive in a positive way to the measures that we put forward. We also were looking at our student achievement goals. And unfortunately, again, due to the COVID closures, the data is incomplete. However, what we can say is focusing on high quality instruction and student engagement. All of our grade levels were on track to meet or exceed our end of year goals that we had set based on our 18-19 end of grade and end of course exams. What all of this is saying is that our teachers were really invested in what we were all working on together. We were talking the same talk. We were walking the same walk. We were having coaching conversations, and we were supporting each other to ensure that all of our students were being exposed to high quality instruction and high levels of engagement. One specific area that I would like to point out for our senior academy, there was a goal to increase the ACT composite score of Hispanic and Latino students from a 15 to an 18. Our senior academy students exceeded that goal with a 19. That's outstanding improvement and growth that we've seen through our students. And you know, as every educational presentation goes, there's always a quote, right? So perhaps the greatest test of leadership for school leaders is whether they can consistently act upon the organization's beliefs and priorities. We want to maintain a consistent focus on the action plans that we as academy leaders are created to stay the course, to continue that positive growth trajectory that we see from all the data that we collected this year. Throughout the year, we also talked about high performance culture. We wanted to make sure that each time we got together, we were talking about how what we do aligns with the News Charter School vision and mission statements. We wanted to share an inspiring vision of what our school should be, and that is what's driving our priorities. And we were setting high expectations for ourselves, our colleagues, and our students. We were always outcomes driven. How will what we are building in ourselves show in what our students know, can do, and how they can think? And the last thing that I will say is Ms. Nowinski and I recognize that none of this positive work, none of the positive trajectory or the engagement in this activity would have been possible without the hard work and the dedication of all of our staff. They absolutely stepped up. They made all of this happen in spite leadership changes on campus. And speaking specifically for Nikki and myself, we are incredibly proud of the work that they put in to benefit all of our students. If you have any questions, I would be happy to field those.
Are there any questions or comments?
This is Jane Jackson. I would just like to thank you, Dr. Schwartzlander, and please let Ms. Nguyen, when you're able, that we appreciate I appreciate the follow-up with the data. I know it's hard given the situation with COVID and everything. But you know, it looked like, as you were saying throughout, that the trajectory was going in the right direction, which is absolutely what we want to see. And you know, we were already impressed. And I'll speak for myself, I was already impressed with how quickly everyone was able to pivot to online, and everything that the teachers and all of the school leaders did to make sure that our students had continued to have coursework and classes even online. But to see that all of this data that actually was before that even, it's very, very positive. It's very encouraging for this coming year and for the future of news. And so thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you. Yes, Nicole Booker here. I would just concur. It was very exciting data. It's just a shame that we didn't get to see it all the way through, because I think we would have had great results.
Anyone else? All right, I did my teacher wait time, so we're going to move on. Thank you, Dr. Schwartzlander. Thank you, Ms. Nowinski, for putting that together for us. Tremendous job. Next, I have the great pleasure of introducing everyone to our primary academy leader, Ms. Debbie Matthews. She is on as a panelist and is going to say hi.
Well, I just wanted to say hello to everyone and let you know just how happy I am to be at News Charter. I have been on board just a little over a week, and I have learned so much, and I have been just so impressed with everything that's going on, and I just can't wait to get started in the new year and continue to work with the families and the students. And it's just been a real pleasure to be to become a part of the News Charter family, and I just can't wait to, after that report, I can't wait to fill those big shoes.
Thank you, Debbie.
You're welcome.
All right, next is the facilities proposal. So Rodney, if you would open up for me the Vanguard one first. I referenced this in the May board meeting, and I'm ready to put it before you. To note that this proposal has worked its way through the facilities and the finance committees prior to tonight. I'd like to kind of show you what the goal is, and then go through a couple of pieces of information that will be important. Robbie Taylor may be jumping in to help me with a couple of areas.
Gotcha.
So this is a new modular system that we are going to ask for approval for installing on campus. My formal request is that we are going to remove the current quad that is currently installed, and we are going to install this. A couple of key points that I think are important for you all to know in making this decision is that this unit has 2 entries and exits on each end. It is one complete unit. This creates a more secure space for our students. There are currently 6 points of entry and exit on the current quad system that we have. And the locks on those doors, some of them jam and are often hard to unlock, which creates a security concern for us. Another important thing to note is that the student bathrooms are not in the classrooms. They are housed at the end of the unit. There is an IT closet, a utility closet, a male's bathroom, female bathroom, and a teacher bathroom. This is exceptionally important because the current system has a bathroom within the classroom in all of them. And it would be horrifying to me to have to leave class to go use the restroom in the classroom. I can imagine a sixth grader or a middle schooler having that experience and just being horrified by it. Flushing toilets create a disruption to the learning environment. If you're trying to teach and there's a toilet flushing or water in the sink, I don't know. I mean, I would think even the best of teachers would have a hard time not being interrupted by that. And it certainly would be a disruption to the students and being able to learn if there's that constant noise going on. So this is a very important enhancement to this system that we don't currently have. This would be placed in the back field opposite the retention pond. That's important because the current system is in a location that creates pools of water behind one of the spaces. When we're looking about making changes for COVID and entry and exit points, it's possible that we might need to have the students exit out the back. If there's been any rain of any sort, there's going to be puddling and pond, and it is not a safe space for our students to move through. Additionally, moving the quad currently from where it is opens up that space for the future development of News Charter and continued development of a new facility when the time comes. The other thing about this new unit is that it has a science lab, and our current quad does not. And I just know that is an amazing enhancement for any of our science teachers. So that is what it looks like. Now, if we could switch to the financials, I'm going to talk about what the numbers are. Robbie, you want to jump in on anything before we do that?
Absolutely. You covered it perfectly.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to talk about some numbers. Current rent for the quad is there. It's $17,300 a year. The new rent's going to be $14,888. That is an additional $25,548 for rent. That has been included in the current budget just to account for some numbers so you all can see that. Additional expenses, these are estimates. To remove the current system is going to be about $37,500. To set up this new system it's going to be about $46,274. The rest are estimates for more installation of a septic tank, power, plumbing, decking, underpinning, and other miscellaneous expenses. So we're looking at about $131,774 to make this happen. I think it's important to note here, though, that we have an opportunity to reduce that cost if we were willing to do some of the removal and setup ourselves. And I'm just going to plug this in. I think it would be fantastic for us to do some kind of team building activity where we all go out there and work together as a team to take down some stuff. I think that would be a tremendous message to our teachers and our families that our board is willing to get dirty for our kids. And there's lots of space for social distancing, so it's totally doable.
That's right.
And I'll be the first one out there if that's what needs to happen. So I've talked about the pieces of information that are there. The goal is that we can just provide a better learning space for our kids. And I think it's the right thing to do. I think we're always looking towards what's the right thing to do for our students. And I think this is it. So I am respectfully requesting approval of this proposal.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Because before I was talking and I said, I don't think they can hear me. Thank you, Melissa. Are there any questions or discussion regarding, do you have a picture of the science lab? It wasn't on the.
I do.
There is.
I sent it the actual science lab, I can email it super fast. I included it in the notes that I sent.
It was in your email
Oh, okay.
yesterday.
So just one thing I wanted to say about the, for those that know that there is a process, there's a lot of work that goes into making this happen. We have to do it over the next month. So all the help Melissa's asking for is definitely going to be welcome. We have guys working on the permits, site plans, and all of that. All that has to tie in and be approved by the town of Smithfield. And for those that are thinking about, you know, the alarm systems for the safety of the building and for site, also for the cat wiring and that type of thing, for all that goes on with that, we build in those prices in that. So if anybody has any question about that, we can kind of talk about it. But we do have rough estimates, nothing concrete. And then the big thing is while that unit is sitting on the back field area, originally we were going after a 3-year permit to allow us to utilize it for 3 years. With the pumping system that's going to be in there for the sewage, it's going to pump into our current sewage area or sewer area. So it does not have to be on a 3-year permit. So if we needed it longer, we could utilize that. So that's something we need to know too.
And so this is behind the side, the back parking lot?
Yes, ma'am. It's behind the playground area right there. Yep, where the
Okay.
piles of dirt are. Yep. It's a very nice unit. There was a lot of money spent by Wake County to upgrade those science labs, and hopefully we can get that picture.
Yeah, can we get that displayed? Because that's good stuff.
Yeah.
Robbie, this is Nicole Booker. I have a question. If we're talking about building in the near future, why improve modulars if we're going to talk about building? And, you know, I have no idea as to, you know, when and, you know.
Yep. So Nicole, good question. I think there's two aspects of this. So, and Dr. Edwards mentioned one of those is absolutely the ones that are there now. They've been well utilized. They're probably at the end of their, what I call their shelf life or whatever. And then whenever we look at how we're going to have to operate as a school, if we did have to go in one way and come out another, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult. So we looked at the cost of moving that and what we needed to do versus getting this new unit that we have the opportunity to get. So that's kind of where that went with the 2 units. The other thing was it's going to be a minimum of 2 years. If we started planning today, it would be a minimum of 2 years. And that's why we're signing a 2-year contract on this before we could, you know, have another functional facility for the kids to be learning in.
Oh, very nice.
It's very nice.
Mm-hmm.
I think it will really promote a high level of instruction, having them in a situation like this.
And to add, I don't know that the current system that we have will last another 2 years. It's well utilized is a great way to say it.
Yes. Yes.
So I'll assume this has run through facilities committee with a recommendation as well as finance.
Yes.
With a recommendation to proceed. So the board would like to, if someone would like to entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve this plan orally.
Orally, okay. Any other discussion? Do we have a second?
I'll second. This is Jane Jackson.
Okay. Last chance, any
Hey,
questions?
Dawn.
Yes.
Sorry, we were double muted. Just one thing we'll have to make a note of is the budget that's going to be presented tonight, you know, for fiscal planning.
Yeah.
The operating expense side is factored into that budget. The upfront capital investment, you know, for the setup, tear down stuff, that is depending on how much money we end up getting from the state, like Melissa had mentioned earlier, We may have to pull some money out of reserves, but that's not an issue from a finance perspective. We talked about it in the finance meeting. We'll just need to adjust the budget from a funds appropriated perspective to show that there was income that came into our budget from savings and then we spent it out. That's what we had a problem when we built the high school building where we didn't do that before. But that's nothing it's no big issue. It's just for the record, that's something we'll have to do.
And just, Robbie made a good point about the entry exit, as you know, a lot of schools and facilities are having one way in, one way out. Can any of this be part of any additional CARES money? Could we make a justification for any of this?
Quite possibly. Yes, we quite possibly could.
Okay. I mean, it's bigger, obviously, the bathroom being separate. I think you could put together a narrative. This was something we needed to do in response to COVID. So if we got any money for that, that would be awesome.
Absolutely.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second and no further conversation. All in favor? Paul?
Aye.
Robbie?
Aye.
Jane?
Aye.
Rodney?
Aye.
Benji? Benji here?
Aye.
Hi. Hi, Benji. And Michelle?
Aye.
Okay, all opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You forgot me, Dawn.
Who did I forget? Nicole? Oh, I'm sorry. I actually literally wrote down a list. I'm sorry, Nicole. Nicole?
Aye.
Correct.
Okay.
Aye. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, let's move on to the rest of the things that I want to share. My 30, 60, 90-day plan is still moving forward. Just want to kind of fill you in on that. My first 30 days were all about learning, procedures, policies, practices, people. This past 30 days, I've been listening. I have met one-to-one with teachers virtually, and it was a slow ramp up. Initially, about 10 or 15 people quickly signed up, and then it kind of stagnated a bit, and now it's starting to creep back up. In fact, I had 10 today, and as of the end of today, I have now met with 46 teachers and TAs. And I will wrap those up and present to the board in July some common themes of things that were shared, some commonalities between the conversations that I had. I think it's important that we all hear the voice of the teachers, and there are some emerging themes that are going to be important for us. Next is COVID-19 updates. House Bill 1071 was ratified, and then it was signed into law on June 19th. That is essentially, I'll cut to the quick on this one. It is going to allow us to receive an increase of around $60 per student for our ADM. For Noose, if we hit our ADM, that's going to be an additional $56,000 for our school. So that is coming, and we are here for it. I'm so excited.
Dr. Edwards, what was that total? 56,000?
Yes.
Is that what you said?
That's right, $56,500. July 1st is the day that we are going to find out from the governor what he wants us to do. And we are prepared to communicate out our plan of action to all stakeholders on July 2nd. We are very understanding that people want to know, and we want to know too. So we'll all be listening on July 1st when we get that information. And we know that there are 3 plans, A, B, and C. Everybody's back to school, everybody stays home, or there's a 50-50 home school mix. And we really have no idea what's going to happen, what decision's going to be made. Parent and teacher feedback. I just want to let you know that we are seeking the feedback of teachers and parents as guiding pieces of the decision that we make and the plan that we put together. And as of, I don't remember what day it was, I think it was Friday, it was a it was an interesting split because we asked the parents which plan they would prefer, and 33% preferred A, 33% preferred B, and 33% preferred C.
Wow.
So that may have changed today, but I looked at it and was just, yeah. And, you know, and I get it. I totally understand it. I'm a mom. I've got a kid going to kindergarten. I've got one starting middle school. I'm not really sure what I would do right now, but I am really appreciative that people are responding to us so quickly. Some ongoing things that I'm working on is continuing to look through policies and procedures, including working closely with Deborah Hope through HR. Also continuing to look at that compensation plan to provide some clarity. Our COVID process is ongoing. And the other piece is that we are facilities maintenance technician Josh Bunner and I are hoping to have a proposal for you in July that would allow us to rekey and streamline the key and security system at the school. But that'll be coming to you in July. You have very kindly approved my facilities proposal, which I'm thrilled about, and cannot wait to share that amazing news. But one thing I do want to speak to before I stop talking is that I was asked to kind of think about what I need from you as a board. And I know that is probably going to be a fluid thing for us as we settle in, but I did prepare something and I'm just going to read it because it's easier for me to just do that. So here we go. When I think about what I need from the board of directors at News, I think of three things: transparency, trust, and teamwork. When I say transparency, I don't mean any of us knowing every minor detail daily. What I mean is that we all know where each other stand on the issues and challenges facing our school. I mean that you all will bring me concerns and challenges directly. I mean that we're honest with each other and we don't shy away from doing the hard things because we're concerned about personal agendas and hurt feelings. I mean that at the end of the day, we're all working towards one common goal of student growth and development, and that all of our decisions are student focused. I mean no silos. I mean no undermining the efforts of the team through back channel conversations. I mean we tell each other the truth and we're dedicated to radical candor no matter how hard or uncomfortable it might be. And I mean no sugarcoating or beating around the bush. Anything. When I say trust, I don't mean blind trust. I mean that you trust that I'm capable of doing the job that you have hired me to do. I mean that you trust I will lead Noose well and work tirelessly to continue to improve the school community and student performance, even if it takes some time to get that done. I mean that you will trust the expertise and experience that I and my team bring to the table. Collectively, the current admin team brings over 80 years of combined experience to our respective positions. I mean that even if you disagree about my educational on-campus initiatives and goals, you trust that I'm the expert in my arena and I need to be supported. And I mean that you trust that I'll make the right decisions, even if they're not your decisions. When I say teamwork, I don't mean that we follow the lead of one or two. I mean that we recognize the strengths and weaknesses that we each have and we work to complement those. I mean that we work on behalf of the students to fundraise, market, and publicize our school. I mean that you contribute to the work teachers are doing and will do on campus, and you support that with board level initiatives. I mean that we all bring high levels of emotional intelligence to our meetings and discussions. I mean that we are clear and concise communicators that are accessible to each other. I mean that we all understand the role we play and we stay in our lanes. I mean that we are strategic and intentional, focused and prepared. And I mean that we hold each other accountable. To close, I want to reference a quote from my favorite movie, a quote I have referenced so many times in my career. In the movie Remember the Titans, there's a moment when the two captains have a really honest conversation with each other about the situation that they find themselves in. And they argue about the team and their performance. And at the end, one young man says, attitude reflects leadership. Simple, but powerful. The attitude we display at meetings, when we are on campus, and in the way that we work together to reflect the dedicated leadership that we have all committed to news. It starts with us. And I believe that together with the school leaders, the teachers, the students, the parents, we have the opportunity to do some really great things. But we must have transparency, trust, and teamwork. Thanks for letting me share that. Thanks for letting me be your superintendent. And thanks for being receptive to it. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Edwards.
Thank you, Melissa, for those honest words. And having been on the board for a very long time, I think it was very refreshing to hear that from the leader, the school leader, and I know this board will do their best to be a great team member with you. And it's a very interesting time, lots of changes on the horizon. And I think we are well positioned with you as our leader to move forward together as a team. So I thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we are into the committee reports. Thank you, Rodney, for. Okay, executive committee. We did not meet within the last 30 days. And so there is no formal executive committee report. So we'll move on to our standing committee reports. Academic Affairs has not met. And so we will move to finance.
All right, got a few notes here. Just wanted to go over the Finance Committee met on June the 12th, and just some highlights from that. We planned for a budget for a flat rate with no year-over-year increases in the per pupil allocation in the ADM from state or local. We just have so many unknowns with budget and potential changes, potential variables there. The way we set that budget up was just flat year-over-year rate. And ADM target for the budget planning purposes was set at 965. And that's it for that. That's the main highlights from that meeting. We also had a special finance meeting on June the 22nd, and that was to talk about a couple of the items that Dr. Edwards had requested. The first one was the master key upgrade, just enhancing site security throughout the facility here, rekeying the facility. So the group is going to work on a scope of work for that project and present that to us for approval in the July board meeting. And the second point that we talked about that had budget impact was the new modular that we just approved. So those were the two main talking points from that day. Any questions on those two?
I saw on the report that the Dean of Students was added back into the budget. And is that something, Dr. Edwards, you're planning to pursue?
Yes.
Okay. And the next, go ahead, Benji, I'm sorry.
Right. It's okay. Next part, this is the proposal for the 2020/2021 school year. You see at the top, ADM is set at 965. You see the revenue line there, 8.3 million, and a little bit lower on the expense side. You see that at 8.3 million as well, for a net surplus of $2,000. This is the budget that was presented to us by Dr. Edwards. And this is the one that we will need to approve and submit by the 1st of July.
Okay,
I make a motion, we approve the proposed budget for next fiscal year, 2020-21.
This is
Second.
Robbie, second.
Robbie.
okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any questions, comments? No? Okay, all in favor? Robbie, Paul,
Aye.
Jane,
Aye.
Rodney,
Aye.
Michelle,
Aye.
Benji,
Aye.
Nicole.
Aye.
Okay. Motion has passed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rodney's looking for the May budget. Just wanted to go over that, and while he's getting that one ready to display, I'll talk about it a little bit. Just from the L4 view, the high level view, our total revenue year to date is 8.1 million. The last month was 687K. So we have 4.65% remaining in the last month of this year, this fiscal year. And on the expense side, look down at the bottom, the month-to-date activity was 628K, and our year-to-date activity is 7.3 million, giving us a surplus of 782K. So everything looks in line there. Any questions, comments there?
Good.
If not, we'll need a motion to approve the May budget as presented.
So Benji, Robbie, Taylor, I move that we approve May budget as presented by the Finance Committee.
I second. This is Jane Jackson.
Okay, any comments or questions? All right, Robbie? All in favor, Robbie?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Jane?
Aye.
Rodney?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Benji?
Aye.
Nicole?
Aye.
Okay. Motion passed. Thank you. And the next committee. I'm sorry, Robbie, did you need anything additionally for facilities update?
I think Dr. Edwards has covered it. Josh is working hard to get a lot of the yearly maintenance activities done. And other than that, there's a lot of work to be done in next month. Thank you.
So where will they put are we tearing apart the module and then discarding it or what?
So no, they'll actually come and pick it up. So there's a lot of, you do disconnects of the electrical, the plumbing, the wiring and all of that. They charge us to come pick up their unit is what they do.
And so when Dr. Edwards requested hands-on help with those people, we will be doing what?
So a lot of the ramps and stuff, Rodney can give you a lot of information on this. He and myself and Brian Jones did this. The ramps and stuff had to be taken down, and there's a few underpinning and stuff like that where we have to get away from that to get it prepared for them to pull it out.
Oh, okay. All right, very good.
Yep.
Okay, Resource Committee.
Madam Chair, this past month, I've had a meeting with Dr. Edwards and began discussing some of what the needs were and what are some opportunities between the Resource Committee and the school. And we're at the beginnings of scoping that out. So plan is there to do some following up on there and have that as information that we can start to take to the committee and begin doing some strategizing over that.
Okay, thank you very much. Any comments or questions? Okay, board development, we'll start, we'll start with the bylaws that everyone was sent.
So these are the bylaws that we have reviewed multiple times. There were edits made based on your comments at after the last board meeting. Those have been incorporated into this. I know Rodney had pointed out last night small little indention, an extra indention, and so I've corrected that. One of the things that was frustrating with this is the marked up version. It's hard to tell what the formatting is with all the markups in it. So once you go back through, you have to go back through and make sure everything is aligned. So if you see anything that is extra indentions, extra spaces, let me know and I can make those changes. And after this point, what we'll have to do is submit it. I'll submit it to the Office of Charter Schools for approval. And what I have to, in that submission, I have to document every change and the reason for every change, and submit the red line or marked up version as well.
Okay, is there any comments or questions or clarification on the document?
But Michelle, we do need to approve these amended bylaws, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the amended bylaws as presented.
Second, Paul Worley.
Okay, any discussion, comments, questions? Okay, all in favor? Robbie?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Jane?
Aye.
Rodney?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Benji?
Aye.
Nicole?
Aye.
Okay, motion has motion has passed and the bylaws have been accepted.
Woo!
Thank you so much, Michelle. That's always a bear of a project. And so we appreciate your diligence with it and for everyone for their comments and work on the document. It's an important,
Yes.
it's important.
Thank everyone for your help on it. Definitely.
Yes. Okay, so now we will, I'm sorry, Michelle, did you have anything?
Well, so one additional thing that I wanted to mention is I've been looking into some board training. I think you may have seen the email about the two different opportunities for board training. And I have talked with both of those individuals yesterday. One has sent a suggested proposal today. The other one is supposed to send a proposal to me, which I have not received yet. The two individuals that I talked to were Thomas Miller, who used to be with DPI at one point, as well as Brian Carpenter. They seem to me to be, different, but both very capable and very knowledgeable. One of the things that I had thought about when I first was looking at this is, wow, this is really expensive. But I think back, I've been on the board, I guess about 8 years now. And we've had some small board trainings, but we've not had anything significant. We talk all the time about our decisions being in alignment with our goals for the school, and our spending being in alignment with those goals. And it starts at the top. And I think that we need to invest in the board because we've never done that. And I think now is a good time to do that. And I think we need to invest in the board. And I think that will provide a lot more benefit than we can imagine. And talking with the two individuals yesterday, there would be quite a bit of change, I think, if we were to follow all their guidance and suggestions. So I bring this up because I need to make sure that I know in talking with them that I would personally benefit from it. I think there are a lot of us, I think pretty much everyone on the board would benefit from the training. But there will be some change probably that comes from it. And before we invest that much money in the board, we need pretty much a commitment from every board member that we're going to be open, receptive. This is something that we want, and that we are willing to follow the guidance that we think is beneficial for our school and be willing to make those changes. And in talking with them, I mean, there were some significant changes. And things to consider. But I think we all have our hearts in the right place. I think we all want what is best for the school. But I think we've got to invest in ourselves. And I think, you know, what we don't know, we can't help what we don't know. And I think it's time to go ahead and let's do that training. I'll kind of give you a little bit of information in talking with them. When I get the other proposal, I'll be able to provide more information in comparison to the two. But some of the opportunities would be running a retreat, some potential opportunities. There would be an opportunity for follow-up following that. And depending on who we go with is going to depend on how much money we spend as well. What I think we need to do is to call a special meeting and have each one of these individuals to give a small presentation to the board. Because this is a huge investment, I don't want the board to make a decision just based on my recommendation alone, because we have to have buy-in from every single board member to make this successful. So that I would like to do it. Now, in order to do that, we have to have either the chair has to call the meeting or we have to have 2 board members to call the meeting. So I'm putting that out there. But I think that's a good idea for us to be able to hear from both individuals.
Michelle, can you give us a sense about you keep saying the investment, like what, can you give us a sense what we're talking about?
So yes, so the, let's see if I can get it pulled up here. I have too many things up here on my screen. So there's a governance package that Thomas Miller has put together, and his business is Leader Building Leaders. So excuse me if I'm not looking at you all, I'm looking over here at the document. There is different kind of packages that he's put together. There's a framework for change package. And I think I emailed this out today, but it goes through, it talks about facilitating a full day retreat, strategic governance retreat, half-day teaching on effective governance practices, half-day personalized work session. There's a conduct a board observation and follow-up coaching session, which I think would be extremely beneficial. Access to 1 year of our virtual governance programs and workshops, conduct a 360-degree audit of existing processes and structures, identifying strengths and areas for improvement, bylaws, policies, DPI data, survey data. Provide counsel to the board regarding issues that may arise during the academic year. That's a $3,600 investment. So then there is commitment to change package. It's a 90-day challenge. They lead all the retreats, facilitate a full day retreat. Same as the other one, half day teaching and half day personalized work sessions. And then for 90 days, the support and development of board agendas, board meeting packets, outcome-based calendar, board meeting minutes, feedback. Includes board and CEO evaluation through the board on track system. Follow-up specific teaching work sessions tailored to solve identified challenges. 3 board meeting observations with follow-up coaching sessions at conclusion of each meeting. At the conclusion of the investment package, the board will benefit by learning how to solve their greatest challenges and communicate with clarity. Changing habits is a marathon, not a sprint. Then that package is $4,800. And then there was something in his email, so I can go back to his email. He says, we just recently built an opportunity for charter schools to receive leadership training from the board through the teachers for $5,997. This would be a great investment since you have a brand new charter school principal in place and need to build organizational capacity. I don't have that information on that particular program, but I'm sure that he would present it to us.
Okay.
The other
I
thing
was
too.
thinking of a much bigger number, so that's why, I mean.
Yeah, and then I talked with the other Brian Carpenter that I spoke with. He's doing most of his trainings virtually. To do a virtual training for just 6 contact hours is $3,500. In person would be $7,500. I think he's trying to discourage people from making him travel. So I don't have a proposal from him, so I really can't compare apples to apples. I briefly mentioned this to Dr. Edwards yesterday just to kind of get her feel, and she gave me some insight and opinions there. But I think this is something that the board needs to hear as a whole to be able to make an informed decision on which is the best route to go for us as the board. And the other thing is, I went through, they asked a lot of questions. I went through and talked to them about some of the challenges I thought we face as a board. I talked to them about some of the strengths that I thought we had as a board, some of which they said weren't strengths at all, but so hence there's going to be a lot of change. But they asked a lot of questions about bylaws, operations. And so I gave them information based on my perspective of what I see, not just for myself, but just for the board. But I think it would be important for the board to be able to contribute to that. Each board member being able to identify what they see as the specific needs for the board.
Thank you, Michelle. I think this falls right in line with, what we were trying to do with the upcoming retreat, along with some, school items that we had to take care of. But I think it's probably long overdue, and I agree with you that it should, we should reinvest in ourselves with a facilitator. I think the HR consultant has worked well for us. The recruiting consultant has worked well for us. So it would seem like having an outside person is something that fits well with the current board. Just to remind everyone, we did have that segment on the nomination form about when people were available. And remember, they were all the Saturdays in July and then the first Saturday in August. And while there were certainly Saturdays where the majority of people could come, there was not a Saturday that every single person can attend. And so then there was some discussion about, in the summer, Saturdays are kind of hard, vacation and all that other kind of stuff. Would we want to consider some mini retreats over weekday evenings? So, like a 6 to 9 and do that, a couple of weekdays. So that's open for discussion. I think we basically need to move ahead with some possible dates for the consultants if that's something that we want to pursue for training. I don't know, maybe that's more in the fall. Do you think that's something that you were looking at for the summer, or that is something that would start in the fall?
So I'd say sooner rather than later.
Okay.
I think it would be better for us to get it going now, because if we indeed have to break it up into sessions, I'd rather let's go ahead and get it done.
Yeah.
I think it'd be better once the school year starts. It's going to be
Crazy.
things will be beginning, and I think now is a good time.
Yeah, I would like to see us call a special meeting as soon as possible for those two folks to make proposals to us and let them tell us if it's one day or it's multiple days or, I don't think it makes a lot of sense for us to pick a date or, a format if we're going to go with these folks. But I agree with Michelle. I'd like to do it as soon as possible.
And I think they have some flexibility as well. At least that was my understanding in how they deliver the information.
Right.
Um,
So,
and if anyone knows of any other programs, we certainly can, but these were two that Rodney had found and provided. So those are two that I had reached out to.
I think Mr. Miller was the one who did something for us before.
So, yeah, so
That's
Mr. Miller, Thomas Miller said that he came in maybe 2013. I don't recall that, but that would have been, I think I came on in 2013.
So do you all have any dates in mind for the special meeting, if that has to be as soon as possible?
Well, I would recommend that Michelle get with those two individuals first, get dates that they could make a proposal. Are they going to do an in-person proposal or a written
No,
proposal?
it would be a teleproposal.
Okay, well, get with them with some dates and see if we can't work around that. Is that reasonable?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fine. And if anyone knows of any other organization, Dr. Edwards and I did a quick Google search, and we did find one other place, but then she found a typographical error on their homepage, and so we thought, well, maybe that's not a good idea. So,
oh my gosh, you're really tough.
I did not reach out to them. So, but if anyone knows of any others, we can certainly reach out to them as well to get a proposal.
Okay, so it sounds like you are being asked to research what dates you can get both people to do it, and then you can share that with the board to see if you can call a special meeting. Do we need to vote to say that we are requesting a special meeting?
So the chair can call a special meeting, or two board members can call a special meeting.
Well, you and Nicole are calling the special meeting.
Okay. We're calling a special, Nicole and I are calling a special meeting with a date to be determined.
Exactly.
Okay. All right, so then we're going to move on to the election, but first we're going to approve the slate of nominees. I think Rodney was going to make a form or something.
Sorry, Dawn, I didn't get to that one. With the form, sorry.
Well, that was at like, I don't know, 4:45. Okay, so I will read off what I have. I sent this to you previously in an email, but I will read off what I have as the slate of nominees. For treasurer, Benji Woodard. For secretary, Nicole Booker. For vice chair, Jane Jackson and Michelle Dennings. For chair, Paul Worley and Rodney Dunn. So we do need to approve the slate of nominees, and then we can do the election.
Do we need to, in our minutes, do we need to identify who nominated whom as a point of order?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Benji was nominated. You all chime in if I forget, because I'm not looking at all the papers.
Yeah, so Benji was nominated by myself, Robbie Taylor, for treasurer.
Well, some people were this. Okay, do we need to say who? Because I think some people were nominated by more than one person.
Yes, so all the nominations need to be on record.
Can I just send you the paperwork, Nicole, or does that need to be out in the meeting?
I think if you could just say it out loud, that'd be fine, Michelle.
Right.
Well, I'm saying I'm not looking at all the papers because they came different emails. So I can send you the emails from each person, or people can just tell me if anything.
Chime in. Let everybody just chime in.
Okay, so Benji, because I thought Benji, Rodney, you didn't. Okay, I literally probably
I'm trying to type them up. Hold on.
Paper from that. So Robbie Taylor for Benji.
Yes.
Who nominated Nicole? You people just say it because I literally.
Robbie Taylor for Nicole also.
Michelle Denning for Nicole.
Okay. Jane Jackson was nominated by Rodney.
Rodney.
Paul Worley nominated Michelle Denning.
Paul
Hold on, y'all.
Worley.
I'm catching up. Hold on.
I'm sorry.
And I nominated
Paul.
Paul. Yeah. Okay. Chair.
Benji nominated Rodney.
Okay.
Chair. Okay. Can y'all give me just a sec? I'm sorry. I'm losing my place. Vice chair.
That's great. Nicole, after you get it, can you read it back out so we can make sure we've got it right?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Okay. I'm getting there. Okay, Chair Worley nominated by Booker, and then Dunn nominated by
Benji.
okay.
Oh, is this Rodney's? What you put, Rodney? I thought that was Nicole typing.
Oh,
It probably is.
these
Okay,
were just the ones I was.
So
Okay.
for just to make sure you all are clear, for treasurer, Robbie Taylor nominated Benji Wood. For secretary, Michelle Denning and Robbie Taylor nominated Nicole Booker. For vice chair, Rodney Dunn nominated Jane Jackson, and Paul Worley nominated Michelle Denning. For chair, Nicole Booker nominated Paul Worley, and Benji Woodard nominated Rodney Dunn. Did I get it?
Yes. Any corrections? Okay. So we will go by each, well, first we have to approve the slate. So I will entertain a motion to accept our slate of nominees.
I move that we accept our slate of nominees as presented and that we close nominations.
Rodney second.
Any discussion, comments,
Just a,
questions from anyone?
just a point of order, because I'm not very good with Robert rules. Are folks who have been nominated to a particular position going to abstain from voting for that particular position?
I don't, I'm not an expert on that, but I didn't think they had to abstain from voting for themselves.
Okay, I was just.
Does anyone know? I will literally tell you I'm not an expert in that.
I do not know.
I don't know what the policy says, but I'll be abstaining from my vote.
I think
Well,
that
this is Jane. I don't think in Robert's rules, I don't think that I agree. I think you're right, Dawn. I don't think that you have to abstain. I think you're allowed to vote for yourself, but again, I'm not 100% sure on that. Should we look it up?
I'm looking now.
Okay.
I think it would make sense for everyone to abstain, but
While we wait, I'll just let you all know, I've held every position, every office except treasurer.
So,
Okay, so it is a general rule that no one can vote on a question in which he has a direct personal or pecuniary interest. Yet this does not prevent a member from voting for himself okay, so I think it should say him or herself, but himself for any office or other position as voting for a delegate or for a member of a committee, nor from voting when other members are included with him in the motion. So I think that answers the question.
Okay, so you can vote for yourself.
Mhm.
Not, and so are we, does it have to be everybody does the same thing, or does it not matter?
Well, I suppose if someone doesn't want to vote for themselves, I suppose they could not.
They could not, okay, so it's up
But
to,
it would still, I mean, the vote, I guess it would still be, it would affect the numbers of the vote, but.
okay. All right, so what we're going to do is go through the various offices, starting with treasurer, and I'll call everyone's name because I know I said something different in the email, but Nicole gave me guidance that in open meetings, we have to do an open roll call like we've been doing for all of our other motions. Is everyone fine with that? Okay, but first we have a motion for the slate from Michelle, and do we have a second?
Rodney seconded.
Rodney second. Okay, so any questions or comments before we approve the slate and close it? Okay, so all in favor, Robbie,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
Jane,
aye.
Rodney,
Aye.
Michelle,
Aye.
Benji,
Aye.
Nicole.
Aye.
Okay. The motion has been passed. So the slate is approved and is closed. All right, so then we'll start with treasurer. And the nominee is Benji Woodard. And so I'm just gonna go through the list. Robbie, so I guess you could say aye or what?
Yay or nay?
Yay or nay, okay.
Yay.
Oh, Nicole, are you keeping the count?
Yep.
Okay. Robbie with a yay, Paul,
Yay.
Jane,
Yay.
Rodney,
Yay.
Michelle,
Yay.
Benji,
Present.
oh, okay, Nicole,
Aye, yay, whatever.
and Dawn, yay. Because I checked with Nicole that the full board votes on the officers. Okay. Benji, you have been elected treasurer of the News Charter School Board of Directors.
Thank you.
Okay, our next position, office is secretary. Nicole Booker. Yay or nay? Robbie.
Yay.
Paul.
Yay.
Jane.
Yay.
Rodney.
Yay.
Michelle.
Yay.
Benji.
Yay.
Nicole.
Abstain.
Abstain. Dawn. Yay. Congratulations, Nicole. You have been re-elected secretary of the News Charter School Board of Directors. Okay. All right. So you're handling the count because I'm not marking things because I'm trying to make sure I call everybody correctly. So our next position is vice chair. We should, just for some clarification, should I do each person or just have the board member say one or the other?
I think just say one or the other.
Yeah.
State the name.
Okay, so when I say your name, you are going to either say Michelle or Jane. Correct? Okay. Robbie.
Michelle.
Paul.
Michelle.
Jane.
Jane.
Rodney.
Jane.
Michelle.
Michelle.
Benji.
Jane,
Nicole,
Sorry, Michelle.
Dawn, Jane.
4-4.
Can you all just pause just a moment? Okay. So typically in this scenario, then the chair would vote to break the tie, but she already voted, right?
Correct. Well, because I asked Michelle earlier, does the full board vote? And she says yes, so. But who abstained? No one?
No one?
Okay. So I did ask you this, Michelle. But I probably should have asked you earlier so you could put all your brain power towards research.
Yeah, I'm looking up now
Okay.
to see what we can do. So Dawn, to answer your question, it's under is it true that, I guess it's like a frequently asked question, is it true that the president can vote only to break a tie? And the answer is no. It is not true that the president can vote only to break a tie. If the president is a member of the assembly, he or she has exactly the same rights and privileges as all other members have, including the right to make motions, speak and debate, and to vote on all questions. However, the impartiality required of the presiding officer of an assembly preclude exercising the right to make motions or debate while presiding, and also requires refraining from voting when the vote is by ballot or whenever his or her vote will affect the result.
So that means I shouldn't have voted, or?
Well, however, the impartiality required of the presiding officer of an assembly precludes exercising the right to make motions or debate while presiding, and also requires refraining from voting, except when the vote is by ballot. Or
Michelle, is that Robert's rules? I'm just wondering if are those our bylaws, or is that Robert's rules?
That's Robert's rules.
Do our bylaws speak to this at all? And I thought it said something about the full board voting.
Well, the full board did vote, but
But it doesn't say anything about the tiebreaker, is what you're saying.
so the only time it says the only time that you would refrain, that the chair would refrain from voting. Hang on, I gotta find my sentence here. Refraining from voting except when the vote is by ballot or whenever his or her vote will affect the result. I don't know what that means, affect the result. I would think that means break a tie. Let me see what else.
I'm gonna grab my bylaws real quick. But the only thing our bylaws say, it doesn't say anything about chairman votes or not. But it just says that in regards to officers, each officer shall be elected by the board of directors at the annual meeting. They shall hold their office during the fiscal year. That's essentially it. So it's pretty silent as to that.
I'm
will-
continuing to read. Give me just a second.
Okay.
Okay, when a quorum is present, a majority vote, that is majority of the votes cast, ignoring blanks, is sufficient for the adoption of any motion as in order, except those mentioned in 48, which requires a 2/3 vote. A plurality never adopts a motion nor elects anyone to office unless by virtue of a special rule previously adopted. On a tie vote, the motion is lost, and the chair, if a member of the assembly, may vote to make it a tie unless the vote is by ballot. The chair cannot, however, vote twice, first to make a tie and then give the casting vote.
So Dawn, why have you historically not voted prior?
Have I not voted?
Except to break a tie.
I think I did break a tie one time.
Yeah, I said except to break a tie. Why? And again, I'm just ignorant regarding Robert's rules. Why historically have you not voted except to break a tie?
Just because it really wasn't necessary to, once everyone said aye. I mean, sometimes I say aye, but we're not doing it like officially doing a roll. So frequently I do say aye.
So Michelle, have you come to any kind of conclusion?
No. So let me reread this. When a quorum is present, a majority vote, that is a majority of the votes cast, ignoring blanks, is sufficient for the adoption of any motion that is in order, except those mentioned in 48, which require a 2/3 vote. A plurality never adopts a motion nor elects anyone to office unless by virtue of a special rule previously adopted. On a tie vote, the motion is lost, and the chair, if a member of the assembly, may vote to make it a tie unless the vote is by ballot. The chair cannot, however, vote twice, first to make a tie and then to give the casting vote. In case of an appeal, though the question is, shall the decision of the chair stand as the judgment of the assembly, a tie vote, even though his vote made it a tie, sustains the chair upon the principle the decision of the chair can be reversed only by a majority, including the chair if a member of the assembly. So what it means is that, what I read it to say is that Dawn, had she not voted and there was a tie, she could vote such that it wasn't a tie. But now that she has voted and her vote makes it a tie, she cannot now vote to make the decision.
Right, and because it is a tie, then the nomination and the motion is lost.
That's
And we need to
correct.
start over, right?
You mean redo the,
Redo the nomination and redo the vote.
Can,
How about ex officio? Can they vote according to our bylaws?
No,
no,
But it can according to Robert's Rule of Order, but not according to our bylaws?
I think the ex officio and the student government, aren't they non-voting members
Per our bylaws. Okay.
or bylaws? I believe?
Michelle, what was I don't understand most of what you read. So it said that Dawn can vote once, but not twice, basically.
Right. So if she were voting, say if she didn't vote
Right.
and there was a tie, then she could cast that vote. But if it's, and to make the decision. But if she voted and it created a tie, then she cannot then vote again to make the decision. She doesn't get two votes.
And what was the thing at the end that you read about a plurality overturning that's the part that I didn't.
Yeah, so that would be if she were if she had not voted and then voted to break the tie.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, that applied to that part.
And Robert's Rules doesn't speak to whether ex officio members can vote
No,
or not?
no, but our bylaws do, and the ex officios are not allowed to vote.
Oh, okay, great.
Robert's Rule of Order says they can, so, but our bylaws overrule the Robert's Rule of Order.
Yes.
That's correct.
So first,
I'm looking to see if I see anything else.
but first it would seem to appear that we need to redo the nomination for that particular office because the tie negated the nomination. Is that what you said, Nicole?
Yes. Well, yeah.
So shall we just take care of that part? So we'll need a motion to just accept the nomination of the vice chair slate, which is Michelle Denning and Jane Jackson, to start all over.
Hey, Dawn, let
Yes.
me read this real quick.
Okay.
My mouse has died. Hang on. Okay. What is a proper way to break a tie during an election of officers? Should the president cast a tie-breaking vote? So this is actually from a Toastmaster. This is not from Robert's Rules of Order. I'm just sharing this as information. This is from Toastmasters. So let me just say that. We recently had our yearly election and there was a tie for one office. The president cast a tie-breaking vote after the ballots were counted. Should he have waited until the meeting came back to order, or was he right in casting a tie-breaking vote before the meeting resumed? According to Robert's Rules of Order, the president always votes in a ballot vote. Therefore, he cannot break a tie because he cannot vote twice. The president should have announced that the vote was a tie vote and that the members would keep voting until someone received a majority vote. If an organization wants the president to be able to cast the tie-breaking ballot, if such situation occurs, he or she must hold his or her ballot until the result of the vote is announced. The president then announces the result of the vote with his ballot.
Someone told me that you keep taking the vote. But I asked someone else about that, and that's what they basically said.
Well, that's what it said. You keep voting until there's a majority.
Mm-hmm.
that likely to be an answer?
Let's see, the president is to remain, okay. The president can vote to make or break a tie, can cast a ballot vote. The president does not vote at other times because his or her vote can influence. Well, that's contrary to what I just read. Okay, it says, I'm aware that the president may vote to break a tie on a motion. Does the president have voting privileges on any other occasions or for any other reason? The president can vote to make or break a tie vote, can cast a ballot vote, and can vote in a roll call vote. The president does not vote at other times because his or her vote can influence other members and how they vote. The president is to remain impartial. Because the ballot vote is secret, the president's vote can't influence others, which is why the president can vote at the same time as the members. In a roll call vote, the assembly demands that each member vote and that each state how he or she is voting for the record. When the president's vote will affect the result, the president has no choice but to vote in this vote, and his or her name is called last. However, he or she can choose to abstain. Keep in mind that the president can only make or break a tie vote if he or she has not already voted. For example, if the president participates in a ballot vote and the vote results in a tie, he or she cannot break tie because he or she cannot vote a second time. If the president's vote causes a tie vote, the motion is defeated. Robert's Rules of Order allows a president to vote to make a tie vote or break a tie vote. The president can also vote whenever his or her vote will affect the result. For example, the president can vote to cause a 2/3 vote or to prevent the attainment of a 2/3 vote. However, members can't force the president to vote if he or she wants to remain impartial. If the motion is a tie and the president does not want to vote, the motion is defeated. A tie vote is not a majority. A tie vote means the motion is lost. What can you do in this situation? Another rule in parliamentary procedure is that members can't be asked to decide the same question twice at the same meeting unless they reconsider the vote. To reconsider the vote, a member must have voted on the prevailing side. In this case, the negative vote can move to reconsider. However, anyone can bring a motion before the assembly again at the next meeting. It is handled as if it were a new main motion.
So it sounds like we have to bring it back to the next meeting because we cannot change vote because there was not a prevailing vote. If it was a tie, you can't have a prevailing side. I had read the same thing on the Toastmasters earlier.
So we bring back.
Benji, I didn't hear what you said. Let me cut my
Sorry,
volume
I
on.
was saying that since there was not a prevailing side, we were not able to re-vote. And I was just saying I had read the same thing on the Toastmasters website earlier. So I think we're going to have to bring it back to a vote nomination next meeting.
Yep.
But I would say that, Dawn, my expectation was that you would not vote because historically you haven't voted except to break ties. So that was different for me.
Well, I asked Michelle, does the full board vote for, and it says that in the bylaws, so.
It says, yeah, the full, yeah, so I mean, she can vote.
Where does it say it in the bylaws?
She doesn't have to, but it says she can. So it says the board of directors. Okay, it's.
I was told to vote last so that my vote would not
That's correct.
be impartial.
Under Article 4, meetings, Section 7, decision-making, actions by the board will be decided by majority vote with the exception of an action on a previously adopted item, which requires a 2/3 majority vote. The chair will call for a vote on all agenda items identified on the agenda as decision required, except as otherwise provided by statute, articles of incorporation, by the charter of the corporation, or these bylaws. If a quorum is present when a vote is taken, the affirmative vote of a majority of directors present. Oh no, that's not where, hang on. There's somewhere else where it says the board of, okay. The officers of the board of directors of this corporation shall include the chairperson. Okay, the directors may designate and fill other corporate officers as needed. Okay, each officer shall be elected by the board of directors. So there's nothing that says that she can't vote.
And I understand that it was just historically she has it. So that was what I was, that was.
She's not required. She's not required to vote, but she can if she wants.
I frequently say aye. I mean, but you can't tell because nobody's, you're not calling each individual name, so. So at this point, are you saying that this particular position has to come back to the board at the next board meeting? Or that we need to resubmit a motion for the nomination?
Do we want to at least try to vote one more time?
We can do that.
I don't
So
think we
that
can,
does not
can
make the nomination
I don't think we're supposed to.
obsolete.
I don't think we can per
For
what we read. We're
Toastmasters?
not able to vote a second
not
time
able
on the same matter.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Because there's not a prevailing side.
That's right.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we had to move it to the next July meeting.
Is that fine?
Or to the special meeting.
Or to the special meeting? Is that covered?
Happens first.
Right. That's right, Mitch.
Shall we move on to the next position?
Yeah, motion is, or I guess the motion would be dead.
Okay. So can you just note that, Nicole, you're going to say the motion died because of a tie vote and will be reintroduced at a special meeting? Does everyone understand what we're going to do for that position?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so we'll move on to the chair position. And I will do a roll call, and you can say either Paul or Rodney Dunn. Are you ready, Nicole? I don't know if you're still typing.
Yes, I'm ready. Thank you.
Okay. Robbie?
Paul Worley.
Paul?
Me.
Jane?
Rodney Dunn.
Rodney?
Rodney.
Michelle?
Paul,
Benji?
Rodney.
Nicole?
Paul,
Dawn? Rodney?
The same as
What was your count, Nicole? I'm sorry.
4-4.
4 and 4.
Yep.
So this is the point where the VC, credits play and it's the end of the show.
This is where we change the bylaws to make sure we always have an odd number of members.
Or the chair doesn't vote unless it's a tie break.
Yeah, yeah,
Paul didn't vote.
You got two options. It's not just
right.
Did you count 7 votes or 8 votes?
There's 8.
No, 7 people voted because Paul did not vote.
I voted. I said
Paul
Paul.
voted.
Said what?
It was Paul, for Paul, it was Paul, Robbie, Michelle, Nicole. For Rodney, it was
Paul
Jane,
said
Rod.
abstain.
I'm sorry, what?
I thought Paul said abstain.
No, I said
Oh, okay.
me, Paul.
No, he said me.
Oh, he said me. Okay, I'm sorry. That's it. All right. So we are in the same situation with a now dead motion that will have to be reintroduced at the next special meeting. Any questions or comments on that?
I think we need probably at some point, if it's going to be a tie again, I kind of feel like we need to reach out to some
Like
other
the-
folks, other than our Google searches, about how we proceed, given that our bylaws are silent.
So what I can do, I can reach out to the UNC School of Government. They are historically been very helpful with things like this. I don't know that they will be, but I can certainly, reach out, and I will be sure to share that information. And as far as, the bylaws, I think we can, after we do our training, I think there may be some other additional changes to the bylaws, as were pointed out to me on the phone yesterday. And I think that, we can certainly work on that as far as tie-breaking procedures, should that happen again, as we update our bylaws for next time.
I think so.
Okay, so we are at, thank you everyone for your patience, especially if we still have guests still on the phone, and our community. Thank you for your patience as we work through that. We apologize for the,
Dawn, I'm sorry, can I interrupt for a quick question?
Sure.
Given that the officers are supposed to change at the end of June, and we now don't have a chair or vice chair elected, do we need to make a motion to continue with the current chair and vice chair for the month of July, so that we don't go without a chair and vice chair?
Do we have a hierarchy, like if the chair and vice chair are not in place, it's then the secretary or the treasurer?
Well, I didn't see any of that in the bylaws, but.
Not in our bylaws.
So.
Or we could handle it if we're going to have a special meeting, to talk about our facilitators. That might be a time to.
Yeah, as long as it happens in June.
Yes.
Right. So that's my concern, is that we get to July and don't have a chair or a vice chair, and we have no leadership for the board. So is it a problem to put forward a motion that the current chair and vice chair would continue for the month of July? Because then the only thing that changes is Benji, because Nicole's already the secretary.
Well, the motion could specifically be for the chair and vice chair.
Well, is that something that's acceptable based on, like?
It's not in our bylaws.
Right.
But there's nothing in the bylaws that would prevent it.
Okay. Well, then I guess I make a motion to have the current chair, Dawn Dixon, and the current vice chair, Paul Worley, continue to serve in those roles until the way I'll say it is until a new chair and vice chair are elected.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Robbie? Paul?
Aye.
Jane?
Aye.
Rodney?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Benji?
Aye.
Nicole?
No.
Okay, majority of ayes, and the motion has passed.
So Dawn, one thing we didn't cover was in the elections is everybody planning on coming back? So that would be me and you, and who else?
Well, everyone sent their letter of intent, and that no one said that they were not coming back. Has anything changed?
No. I just wanted to clarify that everybody did. That's what I was saying. So that we.
Okay. All right, so we still have one agenda item. Mr. Worley has been working on the grievance policy.
Dawn, I'm sorry, it's Jane. Real quick, can I just present the strategic planning committee?
I'm sorry.
That's
You're
okay.
right.
We got really focused.
I'm terrible for not looking at the agenda. Go ahead.
No worries. I don't have much to say except that the strategic planning committee has met twice since our last meeting. We're currently meeting every 2 weeks to really try to get a good foothold on the information that we need to gather in preparation for the broader strategic planning process. We're currently working through the 3 pillars of for the school, which is excellence in operations, excellence in culture, and excellence in academics. And we're looking at each of those 3 topics and talking about, based on our research and data, things that we would recommend for the broader strategic planning committee and group to consider and look at in terms of setting goals through the strategic planning process. So that's sort of where we are right now. Is we're doing a lot of research and gathering data. We have Dr. Edwards is on the committee now and is doing a great job helping to support that. She's helping us with who to reach out to and how to get some of the data that we think would be beneficial to the overall plan, to the overall planning process. We have had 2 additional members join our group, and now we have a full contingency for the group. So we had 1 additional teacher, Beth Miller, joined the group, and 1 additional parent, Amanda Watson, joined the group. Otherwise, the slate is the same as it was when we talked about it originally. And the only other thing that I would like to kind of put out there as we're thinking about, this special meeting and potentially doing board training, which I think is a fabulous idea. I also just want to put out there that once the committee gets through this initial planning, I would really like to get the board together for for the committee to report about that, but also for some in that process document that I originally sent out. That second column has a lot of information in it that I think the board needs to generate. And we also need to be thinking about creating this broader coalition of stakeholders. And so I would like us to begin thinking about when we might be able to do that as a board. And, I know our time is really valuable, and we're already gonna have the hopefully be able to do this training at the board level, but I'd also like us to be thinking about a time that we could focus on the strategic planning process and on moving towards beginning to gather a broader coalition of people to actually build the strategic plan.
Jane, is that something that is any of what you were just talking about? Can any of that be incorporated or be part of our discussion be had in the training? Would that be beneficial as part of the training, or?
I mean, I would be completely open to that. And however we want to do that. I mean, I'd be happy to once we could potentially ask both of the candidates or whoever we decide, if there are more people, if that's something that we could work together. I think it would be great for them to hear where we
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, where we are right now and sort of what the thought is, and to take in any of their suggestions as well. So I would love that if they would be open to it. That's a great idea.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Otherwise, that's the strategic planning committee report.
I'm glad we're getting more people on the committee. I think that speaks to your work and how well the committee is run. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So old business was the grievance policy.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. I did want to call your attention to a short slide presentation. They can put that up if that's available. Was it provided?
Rodney, did you have the grievance?
Oh.
Thank you.
Hold on, I didn't see it in the board packet. Let me go see if I can find it.
Paul, do you want to just walk through how we've gotten here?
Sure. I'll just kind of read from my presentation here. So one of the things that we were getting into with that caused the need for change was that there were parts of the grievance policy that in some cases were maybe arbitrary or not very well defined. And so one of the particular issues that that we got into was, of course, clarity and consistency. We had also had some evolution in the reporting structure in the school. And then there has always been a desire to really solve the problems at the lowest level and in making sure that we have a fair and well-defined policy because that would promote fairness. And we all certainly want to have fairness for all parties involved. When we start looking at some of the main underpinning values of and guiding principles of a grievance policy, we start thinking about the process and timelines, making sure that that is expedited in a way that whoever has submitted their grievance can have it resolved one way or the other. Confidentiality is necessary, but also within the North Carolina open meeting laws, as well as respect and understanding for the staff, student, parent, or guardian, or whoever's involved. Grievance is when we talk about that and based on the bylaws, it's defined as a formal written complaint by an employee, student, or parent that believes the school has violated or failed to enforce a specific federal law, state law, applicable state Board of Education policy, school policy, or local board policy. And that's how that's defined. And that may not be defined in the bylaws. I misspoke on that inadvertently, but it is certainly has been one of the points that we've looked at as well. When we started out with the developing the policy, we wanted to make sure that it was prompt and fair, that there was ability for orderly resolution, that we defined the channels of communication there as well, had procedural consistency so that we were able to legally stand behind that and do the right thing. We wanted to make sure that everyone has access to procedures to seek resolution, and of course the ultimate being to resolve the issues. One of the things that we have tried to do here with the draft as well is draft policy is that the employees are really encouraged to discuss concerns with the immediate supervisor or other directly involved coworkers. So, when we start looking at this, we don't want anybody to start with any kind of disagreement with their mind being that they want to take it to agreement. You want to try to do whatever you can do to resolve it at the lower levels. Being able to take your concerns directly to the next level of management or human resources. And then also with students and parents, the communication and the dialogue is very important. Being able to discuss that openly with the relevant teachers or other youth employees. Have a little kind of had a little flow chart here as far as the process goes. Had the supervisor conference. Then it goes to the superintendent appeal. And these again are the two prerequisite issues that you get into or stages that you get into before you get into the board of directors grievance committee as well. So in summary, looking at this and is, what we started out with, evaluating the issue. We always want to make sure when we have any kind of policy change that we're doing it in a way that is needed and comes to an outcome that certainly helps us sense of the business and most importantly for the student and development. And that is, we needed to have we had staff and board input, and from that we found that we had the original drafts as we started working through this. Either they were too complex or they were not comprehensive enough. What we found is with agreements, we needed to make sure that we covered employees, students, and the parents and guardians there too. And we started out on that in that vein. What was a big help was Deborah Hope and having an HR contractor that could clarify some of these issues and really get her mind around it. And that helped a great deal in developing the policy. So she was tasked with developing the process and looking at that. Then it went for review by Dr. Edwards and received comment there on that. And from there, we provided it out to the full board to review and edit, and we got a couple comments on that. And so right now we're at the point of we believe it's ready for board action, and it's submitted to the board for its pleasure. Basically, the next steps. Would you like to review it further, or would you like to proceed on with approval? And so that's presented for consideration, Madam Chair.
Paul, I have a question.
Okay.
This is Michelle. In the sections, what page it is? Second page is under general requirements. And the last one says the grievant may have a representative, including an attorney, at any stage of the grievance. However, if the grievant intends to be represented by legal counsel, he or she must notify the involved NCS representative in advance, and the NCS will have the opportunity to be represented by legal counsel as well. Why was that put in there? I just, sometimes you don't see that for grievances until it gets to, I guess, like at a litigation point. But I just wanted to get your feedback on that and see why that was in there.
I think that some of the past history that we've had, and then also the one of the things that you could easily find yourself into, as you well know, is that someone brings their attorney, and with that presence in the room and with the staff being involved, basically that's all on the record, and so that could be in a position to be exacerbated by legal counsel without the advice of an attorney for the school. So that's the risk there, and
legal counsel can sometimes make it worse.
Yeah. Well,
no offense, Nicole.
But it's clearly something that we can go by whatever the pleasure of the board wants to hold. But that was my opinion on that.
And it might also be that because we certainly had parents who have threatened, you're going to hear from my lawyer, I'm going to bring my lawyer. So, I know at JCC, once they say they're going to bring a lawyer, then we stop communication until we get our lawyer. So if they want to do that, that at least gives us some, they have to follow the procedure of alerting us to that, and then we can be prepared as well. Even though usually it's just a threat and it's not actually true, but.
I can certainly would suggest Deborah, being that she's on, I don't know if she can, I don't think she's able to speak, but if she is.
I don't think Deborah's on, is she?
I thought I saw her on.
Deborah, the new primary academy person, her name is Deborah too, correct? Melissa, yeah, because I thought that too. I was like, oh, I didn't know Deborah was coming. I think that's the new primary academy leader.
Okay.
That's Debbie. Debbie would be showing up as Debbie. So if you see Deborah, it's probably her.
I see Deborah Hope.
Oh.
As a guest. So.
Can we unmute her?
Yeah, unmute her. See if she can. Can somebody unmute her?
I just think that's important because that tells everyone that if you were going to bring legal counsel, that elevates what we're doing. We're not. Do you think it encourages the person to bring legal counsel? The language.
Are you asking me, Dawn? I'm sorry.
Sorry, Michelle. Yeah, I was wondering.
Deborah, I think I unmuted you.
It may, sometimes I think in some of the policies I've seen, particularly as it relates to employee grievances, until it gets to a higher stage of the grievance, oftentimes it will say, policy may say, you're not entitled to legal counsel because it's not a legal proceeding. And so until it gets to a litigation standpoint.
Right.
So, in other words, I mean, they can have legal counsel all they want, but as far as bringing them to the school, I mean, I don't have a problem, necessarily with it. It's sometimes when they can make it more complicated and cause things to exacerbate more if you have them earlier on. But
Is there some kind of denial of right if we had a policy that did not allow a grievant to bring counsel?
Do you want me to speak into it a little bit?
Sure, yeah. Thanks, Deborah.
Okay. So from the employee perspective, an employee does have the right to representation, and that is a law that was established by the National Labor Relations Board, which is, although you're not a union environment, and a lot of employers are not, you're still bound to that. And so from an employee perspective, that part of the grievance policy, it's there to protect their right, but I think it also, as Dawn was saying earlier, it gives a proper protocol to be followed if they were to ask or notify you that they were bringing legal counsel, so that you, as the employer or the board, can be represented equally. So, it's, when I drafted this, I benchmarked it against other school grievance policies, and there was a consistent theme there to call it out so that you are protected and you do have a protocol to follow if you are notified that in the case of the employee, they wanted to have legal counsel present.
I don't have a problem with it being in there, but they're not entitled to legal counsel when they're having a grievance with their immediate supervisor. It's only until there is a, for example, if it were to go to the Office of Administrative Hearings, or if there were discrimination and where it made it up to the Employment Security, the EEOC, Equal Opportunity. But they're not entitled to legal counsel when you have a meeting with or grievance with your immediate supervisor on up through the superintendent.
Are you saying that they are not, or?
I'm sorry, I can't hardly hear you.
Oh, I said, are you saying that they're not able to have that, or? Because
I'm just saying they're not entitled to it earlier on until it gets to a certain point. They're not entitled to it. But I'm not saying that it shouldn't be in there. I was just questioning, why it was in there.
Yeah.
But I think that question's been answered now.
I'm trying to recall back where it is in the policy. If it's just. Yeah, I mean, I can speak to it from an employee perspective, that they do have the right to represent or to have a third party come to a meeting that has to do with their performance. And oftentimes, sometimes things are elevated to that level because of like that. So, I mean, you can certainly take it out. Just, understand that it's there to, when that situation does arise, and it does arise, that you have an opportunity to address it from the other side of the table, to be sure that you, if it is a serious enough issue, that you can have your own legal counsel as well.
I will say, as an employee of the state of North Carolina, if there is a grievance, I'm not entitled to legal counsel as part of that grievance up until it gets to a certain point and stage in the grievance process. But again, I'm not saying that it should be changed. I was just inquiring as to why it was in there.
I don't know if that overrides the NLRBs or not, but I'd have to look into that.
I couldn't hear what you said.
I said, I'm not sure if what you're saying as far as the state of North Carolina employee overrides what the National Labor Relations Board has declared as an employee's right to have someone else present.
I think one of the things I'll note too, that the experience has been that, yes, Michelle, you're absolutely right that, when you're a state employee, you've got to go through that grievance process and any kind of internal hearing yourself, and you might have another employee can help you, but it can't be legal counsel.
That's
and
correct.
this time they have legal notes so that they can go in there, they kind of read them off, but then they immediately can go to I don't know how they do it now, but they used to be able to go to the Office of Administrative Hearings, and then that's where the lawyer would get involved. So most of the time, the employee would be encouraged to, keep going. And they had another, remedy available to them.
Well, I mean, I'm a state employee and we just went through, I was a witness in a grievance and she had her lawyer.
Once it gets to a certain point, you can have one.
Oh, okay.
But it's not, so my point of what I'm saying is that earlier on, I mean, I've been doing employment law for 15 years. And up until a certain point in the grievance process, you're not entitled to legal counsel. It's only there's a certain point in the grievance process. So I'm not saying that we should change it. I was just inquiring as to, I just wanted to have the dialogue on it.
Yeah.
And there's a distinction with, they can bring representation, because I've had people, our HR department says a lot of husbands come with their wife, or they bring a friend for, that. So representation, they can bring some representation, but not legal representation.
Right. So I mean, I think there are some policies out there that would prohibit that, but yes, I mean, you could bring your spouse, but there are some, I know that with the state, there are some policies that would even prohibit that.
Oh.
But anyway, I'm not saying it's a bad idea to have it in there. It just caught my eye because it's not something that you always see.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. So it's certainly well taken.
So but is it, we do need to proceed with adopting this policy. So if we need to, whoever wants to make a motion can make a motion with edits or amendment to the current policy, or a motion to accept the policy as presented.
Melissa, did you get a chance, or Dr. Edwards, I'm sorry, did you get a chance to review the policy?
Yeah, I did. And I signed off on it, and this was kind of why we wanted everybody to look at it before we came to the meeting, so we'd be able to fully answer questions and make the right decision on it. But I agree exactly with the way it's written. I think everything that's in there should be in there, and I don't have any problems with it.
I make a motion to approve the grievance policy as presented.
Second,
Benji.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor? Robbie?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Jane?
Aye.
Rodney?
Aye.
Michelle?
aye.
Benji?
Aye.
Nicole?
Aye.
Okay, the motion has been passed. And I believe we do. Thank you, Paul, for your work on this. And for Deborah, thank you for your assistance in getting it together. So I do feel we've come a long way from the previous grievance policy, and this certainly will help process any grievances that we may have more efficiently. And that is a board policy. So if any changes in the future need to happen as a board policy, it would have to come back to the board for approval.
And where is that board going to be? I mean, that board policy going to be kept?
We really, and Rodney has made this suggestion many, many, many times, and I think that that is definitely a task for the board going forward, that we need an electronic archive or library. We need to, formally number, BP1 point, whatever, formally number some of these board policies. There's already some that are formal in the correct format that Paul submitted, and then other ones not so much.
I didn't notice, was this one numbered?
I don't believe it was numbered, Paul, was it? I know you checked the box for board policy.
No, it wouldn't be numbered until it was,
approved,
ratified.
I think the first one was 1.0, which was the policy on policies. But again, I think that's a whole new.
I know there were some others too, because I know I did 2 or 3 of them, and we added numbers to them, but I don't know where they are.
Yeah, so that's back to Rodney's point about we need it electronic. I have some of them, but I think there's been a lot of confusion between things that the school brings to the board because they think it's board policy and it's actually a school policy, which does not need to be approved by the board. They can certainly update us on it, but that does not need to be approved by us. And so we made that distinction between board policy and school policies.
So
dress code is not a board policy.
So I guess we need to, so we've got a policy, it's been approved. So who's taking it right now and putting it in the appropriate place? Where's it going to be kept?
And I think we had asked before, and Melissa, Dr. Edwards, you guys, NEWS does not have a shared folder other than you guys use Google, but you don't have like SharePoint or a shared like access where you can only get access as an employee and you log in. Okay. Is that something, Rodney, that the board can create and have a electronic library that is only accessible through login?
Yeah, there's different, there's different technology platforms. You know what, I'll tell you what, I'll take that action item on behalf of the board to go talk with Brad Williams, Melissa, if it's okay with you. There's different technology platforms for like digital bound copies with revision control documents and stuff. And we can just look at a couple that we could use. But you can always create a folder structure and stick it in Google, but that's not very professional. And also
you can do that.
The other thing you do with document control too is you create a wiki where you can then go in and you can search whatever may be a keyword in the policy.
There are some board policies that are linked to the new charter website.
Okay.
And the ones that I see that are posted are the admissions policy, athletic eligibility, CCP, fiscal policies, and your bylaws. I'm sorry, the college curriculum reimbursement policy. I misspoke. So there are 5. They're posted.
We also know that Deborah had made a recommendation for us to look at Boardable before. I just don't think we followed up on that one, so maybe we should.
What did you say, Rodney? Look at what?
Boardable. It's one of those platforms for that kind of stuff.
Okay. I emailed last night, and I'll be glad to share this with the rest of the board, but I emailed it to Rodney. It's several charter schools in North Carolina that have numerical systems for their board policies. One was, and I'll just say that I remember that I really liked it, was Arapahoe News Charter School. Had a really good numbering system and easy way to click on it and be able to see what you're looking at and any revisions.
Yeah, and under board policies, you can distinguish between like personnel, if there are board level personnel policies, and then administrative type. So then it's even easier to kind of drill down to the appropriate category. Okay. Anything else that wasn't on the agenda for old business? New business? Any new business? And Dr. Edwards told me that she had no need for closed session, correct? So is there any other items? And we can adjourn. And we will be hearing from about the special meeting very shortly.
We need a motion to adjourn.
Absolutely. I make a motion that we adjourn. Robbie Taylor.
Robbie Taylor, thank you.
Paul.
Who second?
Paul.
Paul Worley, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Everybody say aye because I'm not running the list one more time. Thank you very much for your patience this evening. And we will reconvene soon.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Night.